Hi there, and welcome to A Song of Ice and Fire Explained. This is a video series where we explain the massive conspiracies going on in A Song of Ice and Fire. If you haven't seen our previous videos, we suggest watching those first. So, let's continue on with Jon 4, A Game of Thrones. This chapter is 4,923 words long and is told from the perspective of Jon Snow. When Jon dreams of his lady mother, he considers her to be beautiful, highborn, and kind. In this chapter, Samwell Tarly appears in the yard while Jon is training the other recruits. When Sir Alliser Thorne orders Sam beaten after he yields, Jon and his friends aid the new recruit. Later, Jon talks with Sam and afterwards convinces the other recruits to go easy on Sam, despite Thorne's commands. Jon is helping the other recruits with their swordsmanship when Samwell Tarly, the fattest boy he has ever seen, enters the yard. Sam nervously explains he has been told to come there for training, and Pip identifies him by his voice as a lordling from near Highgarden. Sam is immediately ridiculed by Alliser Thorne, who says they are now sending pigs to man the wall. Although Sam has brought his own armour, none of it is black, so he has to be re-equipped, which requires some ingenuity by the armourer Donal Noy. When Sam returns, Alliser sends the strong Haldor against him. In under a minute, Sam is on the ground with a broken helm, screaming that he yields. When Sam refuses to stand up, Thorne tells Haldor to hit him with the flat of the blade, until he gets up. The initial hit is tentative, but Thorne insists that Haldor can hit harder, and the next blow splits leather. Jon's objections are initially stopped by Pip, but after another blow, Jon shakes him off and states there is no honour in beating a fallen foe. Jon helps Sam up, which Sir Alliser mocks as defending his lady love. Declaring it a training exercise, Thorne sends Haldor, Rast, and Albert to get past Jon to beat Sam. Jon braces himself for a hard fight. Sir Alliser has sent 2 boys against him before, but never 3. To Jon's surprise, Pip and Gren come to his aid. The boys going against Jon hesitate, but Jon attacks. Jon soon takes out Haldor, but not before taking a damaging blow to his shoulder. Then he helps Pip take down Rast. Once Rast is down, Albert yields, and Sir Alliser leaves in a fury. Haldor wrenches off his helmet and throws it across the yard, declaring that he thought he had Jon. Jon admits that he almost did. When Jon attempts to remove his helmet, his shoulder is painful. Sam, his head bloody where his helmet split, comes over and helps Jon remove the helmet gently. Sam introduces himself, and Jon introduces himself, Grin, and Pip. Sam thanks them all. When asked why he did not fight back, Sam states that he couldn't because he is a coward. Jon and his friends are speechless. Who would admit that he was a coward? Seeing the response of Jon and his friends, Sam apologizes to them, stating he does not like being a coward. As Sam leaves for the armory, Jon tells him tomorrow he will do better, but Sam insists that he will not. After Sam leaves, Gren states nobody likes cowards, and he is worried what others will think if they are associated with Sam. Pip's response is that Gren is too stupid to be a coward, and Jon leaves them to argue. For the recruits, mornings are for swordplay, and afternoons for other work, which is varied so that the watch can measure a recruit's skills. That afternoon, Jon is to spread gravel on top of the wall by himself. This gives him a chance to contemplate Sam. He thinks about Tyrion Lannister's statement about denying a hard truth and realizes that Sam's admission of cowardice took a certain kind of courage. When he enters the common hall where dinner is almost done, Jon passes his friends and joins Sam, who is sitting by himself. After introducing Ghost and some polite conversation, Jon asks Sam to join him outside to talk. As they walk, Sam admits that he did not think the Night's Watch would be like this. All the buildings are falling down, and it is so cold. Jon suggests it must have been warmer where Sam lived, and Sam explains that he had never seen snow until a month ago. Jon leads Sam to the wall, but Sam balks at climbing the great wooden stairs. Jon replies that there is a winch, but Sam states he does not like heights. When Jon asks why a boy who was afraid of everything would join the Night's Watch, Sam starts to cry until Ghost licks his face, which makes them both laugh. They continue talking, and before long, Jon starts talking about Winterfell. Jon reveals a dream he's been having of returning to Winterfell to find it completely empty. As he is telling the dream, Jon thinks about how several rangings have been made to find Benjen Stark, whose trail just disappears. In his dream, Jon always finds himself descending the stairs to the crypt in dark, and it is then that he wakes up. Jon asks if Sam ever dreams of Hornhill. Sam insists that he does not, and that he hated it there. After a long silence, Sam tells the story of why he was sent to the Wall. His father, Lord Randall Tarly, was disgusted that his eldest son was so plump, soft, awkward, and squeamish. Sam's interest in music, books, dancing, and soft clothes only made matters worse. Many masters at arms were brought to Hornhill to try to make Sam into the type of man his father wanted. When a second son, Dickon, was finally born, Lord Randall had given up on Sam. On his 15th name day, Sam says he was escorted to his father, where he was informed that he was to forsake his claim to Hornhill and join the Night's Watch, or else his father would arrange an accident. Jon finds it strange that Sam tells the story in such a detached voice and does not even weep. Jon tells Sam about some of the other recruits, and Sam eventually states that he should get some sleep, and plods off. Jon returns to the common room. His friends explain that they did not shun Sam. There were places on the bench, but Sam was such a craven that he just passed them by. Jon persuades them all to not beat Sam anymore, whatever Sir Alliser says. Rast, however, insists that if Thorne sends him against Lady Piggy, he will cut off a rasher of bacon, and laughs in Jon's face. That night, Jon, with Pip, Gren, and Ghost, visit Rast in his cell. With Ghost's mouth around Rast's throat, Jon tells Rast that they know where he sleeps. After that, no matter what Sir Alliser does, he cannot get any of the recruits to do anything but tap Sam when they are put up against him. Sam later thanks Jon and calls him his first friend. Jon responds that they are not friends, but brothers. Jon now realizes that Robb, Bran, and Rickon are his father's sons, but that he has never been one of them. His true brothers are the outcasts of the Night's Watch. He realizes his uncle was right, and wonders if he will ever see Benjen again to tell him. And this is where Jon 4, A Game of Thrones ends. Now, this chapter mentions someone who becomes very important in the later books, and might play a decisive role in the Winds of Winter. Randall Tarly. This belief from Kevin Lannister's opinion of the Lord of Hornhill as the finest soldier in the realm, a poor hand for peacetime, but with Tywin dead, there's no better man to finish this war. And in Kevin's epilogue, he thinks that Tarly is the real danger. A narrow man, but iron-willed and shrewd. And he is in possession of Marjorie at the end of A Dance with Dragons. It can also be easily argued that Samwell is a George R.R. Martin stand-in, since, like George, Sam appears useless in a medieval society, but is actually vitally important, and only thanks to modern society have we started to really value people like Samwell and George. And that's about it for Jon 4, A Game of Thrones. In the next video, we'll cover Eddard 6 and continue from there. Now, here are the differences between the HBO TV show and book. In the show, Castle Black is shown to have walls, but in the books, it has none. So the Night's Watch can only defend against enemies coming from the north and not rebel against the Seven Kingdoms, which has happened in the past. In the show, it is Rast who attacks Samwell, and then Jon alone who has to take on Rast, Gren, and Pip. In the show, Sam tells Jon about his father ordering him to join the Night's Watch while skinning a deer. This scenario was used for the introduction of Tywin when he is talking to Jaime about living up to his destiny, which exemplifies Tywin and Randall being very similar characters. Anyway, that's it for today's episode. If you want to see more of A Song of Ice and Fire Explained, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, when you get the chance, try out Fantasy Flight's A Game of Thrones board game, digital edition.